Coop, how are you?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Look at you bearding it, man.
I know I'm out here. I don't know where to get a haircut, so I'm just letting it
What's now,
flow.
okay? For those that don't know, where are you?
I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay, beautiful place, lots of money. I can go ahead and tell you that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I mean,
A lot more than
you,
I got, that's for sure.
I know, but it's funny. You go to Scottsboro, or what is it? What do we call it?
Scottsdale.
What?
Scottsdale.
Scottsdale. That's right. You go to Scottsdale, and then if you want to see the other side of Phoenix, go to Tempe, and then you'll be like, "Wow, this is a dump." But where you're staying is really nice. Cooper,
Yeah.
we appreciate you coming on. Cooper's appearance has always been brought to you by our good friends at City Heating and Air Conditioning. And even though we're not doing our Vol reports, we want to thank them for bringing a lot of quality content. Thanks to Cooper and City Heating and Air Conditioning. And I just want to say this publicly. I think I've told you this personally. You have been tremendous to work with. And there have been times as I've grown this business that you have said like incredibly wise things. Like I would think you're an 85-year-old man, but you've been fantastic for my business and my soul. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate y'all as
All
well.
right,
No
let's
doubt
go ahead
about
and get rolling because we got a couple of topics we're going to get to with Cooper. And one of those is who's Tennessee's next leaders? They've lost a lot of leaders. Cooper's one of them. Also, we'll talk about rebuilding the offensive line with Coop. And then we'll talk about Tennessee's newest transfer, running back Star Thomas. Good name to stay in Tennessee sports history. Um, Person I spoke to wrote about over the weekend said Tennessee's much more focused on keeping their guys and getting other guys. So the transfer portal blues probably are not as nasty as you might think. But Tennessee does pick up one and Star. We'll get to him. Tennessee falls to Vanderbilt. Lady Vols fall to Vanderbilt. So 2 losses on the hardwood. Stat of the day as well. And the lack of college football playoff buzz. Now, I don't want to do this topic with you necessarily, Cooper, because I know you're kind of a keep your head down and get it going. But we were discussing the national championship game, and it's because there's not an SEC team in it. Somebody the discussion started. Have they played it yet? People, I don't know. There just doesn't seem to be the buzz around the game that there was around the first round. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of different factors, kind of how it's bleeding into the NFL playoff as well. And then you kind of add in that there's just so many games. I don't really know. There was something that the 4 team playoff, yeah, some teams got left out, and I even one of my teams got left out of it, and that was upsetting. But at the same time, when there's only 4 games, it kind of makes stuff a little bit. The margins are a little bit tighter, and I think it makes everything a little bit more exciting. Plus, it's the only thing going on. But when you add in all the NFL playoffs, and then there's 8 games, and I think it kind of, I don't know. It's a hard topic to get into.
Another hard topic is going to be determining who Tennessee's next leaders are because you're now a former Vol, and it always sounds weird to say that, but you're one of the leaders, and I'm not asking you to confirm and pat yourself on the back, but it's a fact. You're one of the best leaders on the team. You told me about how Dylan Sampson was an incredible leader. You told me about how Brew McCoy was an incredible leader. So if you're a Tennessee fan, how concerned are you about losing those 3 leaders?
I'm not really too concerned about it because you know, everybody's gonna have an opportunity to step up. There was a time in my life where I wasn't a leader as well, and and I had Jerome in the room or Cade in the room, and and then I just had to step up, losing those guys. So there's always going to be naturally a couple top dogs that always kind of rise to the top and find that footing at that top spot. And I'm sure you'll see a lot of guys do that. I think Miles Kitselman coming back for another year is big as well. I think him as an older guy, I think that'll be really good for Tennessee.
Well, Cooper, I had some other questions related to leadership. I want to build on that. Do you think Miles Kitselman, did he strike you as a guy that can really kind of take the reins and really take over the offense as a leader?
For sure. I mean, it's definitely kind of a different job as a tight end. You don't really see too many. I kind of think we talked about Dylan Sampson kind of being special for him being a running back as a leader, but Kitselman's a hard nosed guy that plays insanely hard and practices the right way, works out the right way, and isn't scared of being vocal. And also, he's just super old for this team. I don't really know the specifics, but it's probably a younger team in the grand scheme of things. And Miles is an older guy, and he kind of hits all the nails on the head when it comes to leadership.
So let me ask the elephant in the room question, which is obviously Nico Iamaleava. I know it was his first year starting this year, so I wouldn't have expected him to be the main leader. But some of the defenses, Cooper, I hear of Nico a lot is he does everything he's told. He's a guy who does what he's supposed to do and all of that. The reason that the only red flag that comes to me is that with that is I kind of expect a quarterback to not just do what he's told, but to really take things, kind of seize a team by its throat, kind of like what you've told me in the past, and Hooker did a lot of times in 2022, 2021. Can Nico transition into that type of quarterback that's like going to start demanding things from everybody else?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think kind of when you talk about it, I mean, you don't really, it's hard because you don't really like demand things. I think you naturally demand them. Like Hendon didn't ever just come up and like get in anybody's face and say, you need to do this or you need to do that. I think Hendon kind of won over the team by being that guy that would do everything himself too. I know lead by example is kind of like an overused term, and kind of that just says that you don't vocally lead as well. But there's something to be said about a guy that has the same energy as all his other teammates and will get down in the trenches with his guys. And I think that's what Hendon did really well. And I also saw a snapshot of Hendon. Hendon was like 24, 25 years old when I met him. So, he was way further along in his life and his career than Nico was. Nico's just getting his feet wet in his football career. I mean, back 10, 15 years ago, we wouldn't even expect a freshman to play, so for a guy like him to come in and start every game, and, the expectations put on him just off the get-go is very hard to live up to. So I'm sure he'll take huge steps in his career here at Tennessee and, over the next few years. But yeah, I definitely expect him to keep getting better and better. And that'll come with age and confidence for sure.
Let me ask you this, Coop. Have you been on a team going way back to high school or whatever, where the quarterback wasn't a leader? And it's kind of a position that demands some leadership, doesn't it? I mean, you have to step up and be at least somewhat of a leader if you play quarterback, or can you be that guy in the background?
Yeah, no, I believe that like a quarterback is kind of by default going to be your leader, like, I mean, obviously you had guys like me and Dylan that were older, and, I was like a fifth year guy who had been a leader for some time. And, so that kind of took a lot of pressure off of Nico, because I was good with Nico. Like we told him early on, like me and Brew were like, hey, if you're good, man. Like whatever you need done, whatever you feel like, you want, like me and guys like Brew and Omari and Dylan, like don't feel like you got to take this all on your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Like, because as a quarterback, I think I've never played quarterback, so I'm kind of just talking right now, but like,
I bet you could, though. You're a great athlete.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I don't know about throwing, but it's a lot to take on, especially as an 18, 19-year-old kid. Like you're the face of the organization. You're the head of the offense and the whole team. So we try to take some stress off of him and told him, just look, whatever you need, whatever you want to talk about, like whatever you got, like we're backing you up. Like we're like you can be in the driver's seat and we can be the engine for you. You know what I'm saying? Like we can, like, let's get this done together. Whatever we're doing, like we've got your back 110%. So just having guys like that around you, I feel like would give you confidence and stuff. And, now that he's getting older and, more games under his belt, there's nothing that's going to happen but him being better and better as a leader.
So, Cooper, how difficult is that transition where you were an underclassman, guys leave, and then you kind of realize like you kind of have to take that next step to be the new vocal leader when people don't even know who it's going to be in spring ball? Does it just naturally come? Or like for you as a leader, did you start to think, I have to do this now because Cade Mays is gone, or Jerome Carvin, like you said, Trey Smith, those guys were gone. And so you realized you had to step up.
I think it's something that you kind of plant the seeds of long before you actually become the leader. personally. Like me, I knew my job kind of inside and out by my sophomore year, and I worked just as hard as anybody else, if not more, in my opinion. And I think that kind of sowed the seeds of becoming a leader. And then, it does hit you though, when all the real leaders in your room leave, deep down, or I did, deep down, I knew I had to take a step and make that next step up into being the leader. So it's definitely hard though. Like it's not an easy thing. Like we always talk about how, you're just kind of born a leader or whatever. That's not really true. Like you really have to work at it. Like nobody's comfortable leading 125 guys. Like that's a hard step to take as a 21-year-old kid.
Yeah, probably just leading Caleb. I mean, he's a handful.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I don't know what he's doing half the time. I'm kidding. Caleb's a saint and an incredible worker. Did you see Nico improve as a leader throughout the season?
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
I mean, I think he was fine. I don't think that's really a question. It wasn't for me, at least. I never really thought of it that way. If that's a question that our people are thinking, like Nico's going to be just fine. Like he's a young kid. Like nobody's comfortable being a leader at 19 years old. It's just not like that's a lot of stuff to put on somebody's shoulders at the age of 18, 19. So, he's just going to get older and more confident in himself, figure himself out more. And, that'll lead to him leading other people. Because, I mean, personally, like, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but like, I have real trouble, like, giving people advice and talking to people about advice if I haven't figured it out myself. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
like, just figuring himself out more as a human and as a man, like becoming a man and all that involved. And it'll all cultivate him being better as that.
Was he also here's what I heard, and when I reported this, I felt certain that everybody thought it was you, but it wasn't you. I was told early in the season, you don't have to confirm it, that he seemed a little unsure if he was making play calls in practice. If that's the case, and you can say that's not if you'd like, but did he improve on that? Did that confidence build within? Because you can't lead without confidence.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I never ran into that. I'd be interested to see who said that. You can probably tell me off air, but
I will do that.
Yeah, I never had that. I never had that impression. That was never my thought.
Gotcha. All right. Well, did you see him? I'm curious what you saw out of Nico. We're talking about him and maybe being a leader. And again, the show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com, as we're live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. So let me ask you this, Coop. In the tough times, which is, obviously the Arkansas game, the one thing I was told about Nico as a leader is that he was PO'd, but you lost. And then he was just extra motivated to go out there and work and drive, but it didn't get him down psychologically. That's what I was told. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think that's kind of how, I mean, that wasn't just Nico, that was everybody. I think everybody was mad about that loss, and you can't let it derail you, but yeah, everybody was upset about that for sure.
Which loss hurt more, South Carolina or Arkansas? Don't hate me for asking this question, because you could easily beat me up.
Probably South Carolina, I'd say. Arkansas didn't really like derail our season. I mean, like it was a bad look. Like it was a bad look in the moment. Like it was an upset. Like, but it didn't stop us from putting ourselves in a position to go win it all. But that South Carolina loss for sure. And plus, Hendon got hurt during that game, so it kind of changed the complexion of everything in that game was just so melancholy.
Now, I still think there's a very good chance you guys come back and win that game if Hendon doesn't get hurt. What do you think of that notion now that your college career's over?
Yeah, I mean, definitely could have had a chance. I'd have to go back and watch the game. It's just been so long since I even know what the score was when Hendon got hurt. But I'd never count a team out that has Hendon Hooker on the field. I promise you that.